everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing the Scarlett Overbust corset made by Corset Connection, which you can also find on the Versatile Corsets website. So here is the front, the side, the back, and the other side. For the center front here, the length is about 14 inches, and from the peak of the bust down to the bottom is about 16 inches high. So it actually comes up quite high on me, which I appreciate because I have a little bit of a longer torso. I do not consider this to be a long line corset because my iliac crest is right here. So it is really only covering maybe an inch or half an inch of my iliac crest there. And it swoops down a little bit in the center front there to give you a little bit more room. In terms of the circumferential measurements, this is a standard size 26. So it's one size larger than I usually get with my overbust corsets. The bust in this particular corset is about 32 inches. And that is why you can see that I have a little bit of a gap in the back there because my natural bust is about 36 inches. So I can close it if I wanted to, but it would result in a lot of muffin top and back fat there, so I'm trying to minimize that a little bit. The hips here are about 36 inches, so the hips for this corset is about 10 inches larger than the waist. In terms of the silhouette, I would most definitely consider this a modern slim silhouette. So if you're a beginner and you don't want to start with a huge reduction, then this might be suitable for you. Or if you're the tall, lanky type or not able to reduce very much in your waist, then consider this type of corset. In terms of the bust here, it does not actually curve up and around. Actually, I think Versatile Corsets says on their website that this is one of their most classic corsets, one of the best sellers, because it is, I guess, the most plain and the most quintessential when it comes to most overbust corsets out there. I would say that this would be able to fit anywhere between an A cup up to a C cup depending on your band size, and it's not exactly one that cups over, so it's not exactly something that you would have to pad out or have a lot of extra room in there because it sort of just pushes everything up. So here is the Scarlett corset laying flat, and for the materials on here, I believe that this particular one has two main layers. So there's the fashion fabric, which is this really lovely blush colored satin, and Versatile Corsets or Corset Connections say that for these sorts of corsets, the fashion fabric is fused to something to stabilize it so that it doesn't wrinkle when you're wearing it on the body. And then in this particular piece, because it was a display sample, it has white twill on the inside. However, if you order a corset custom from them, then it is typically lined in herringbone couture, like I had shown in my mimosa video. And just to show you some interesting contrast, here is another Scarlett Overbust corset made by Versatile Corsets, except back when it had a different owner. So this was made several years before, and the outside it still has a lovely smooth brocade, but on the inside here you can see that it's not lined in cotton at all. It's actually lined in a slightly thin polyester fabric. So here you can see the old label. It says Ms. Antoinette, and then on the back here it says by Versatile Fashions. And here you can see the newer version of the Versatile Corsets label. For the construction of this main piece, it has 6 panel patterns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you can see on the inside here the panels were all top stitched, so they're at least double stitched between each panel. And for this particular piece there were external boning channels stitched down, so you can see them there double boned on the seams, with the exception to this one here, which is single boned to go over the bust a little bit better. However, you can choose on the Versatile Corsets website whether you want external boning channels or whether you want those boning channels to be sandwiched. And in this piece, you could see how the original client had wanted the boning channels to be sandwiched. So you actually don't see any stitching from the boning channels on the outside, like my mimosa corset, but on the inside here, you can see the boning channels. So they had laid casings on the inside here between the lining and I guess what you would call the interlining, and so this fashion layer is actually floating. In this piece, you can very clearly see the waist tape. It's a 1-inch wide Petersham ribbon stitched internally. And so I talked with the owner of Corset Connection and Versatile Corsets, and she said that when there are external boning channels on the outside of this corset, then the waist tape is exposed. However, if I show you the other corset where the boning channels are actually sort of internal or sandwiched, then the waist tape is actually sandwiched and it's invisibly stitched between the layers, so it's not exposed on the inside. And this is also true for my Mimosa Overbust corset. You don't see the waist tape on the outside or on the inside here. So this style of construction is still true today. However, of course, they still use the higher quality lining in the modern corsets. The binding for the new and old version of these corsets are basically the same, so I'm only going to show you this one. It is made from matching strips of this blush satin and stitched down by machine on the outside and also on the inside here. As well, you can see that there are 8 garter tabs, 4 on each side. But there is one very subtle difference actually. The garter tabs for these new corsets are actually stitched up so that if you're not wearing any garters, then these tabs don't poke out from the bottom. Whereas in this older piece, you can see that the garter tabs are actually sewn in a downward position. And I much prefer the garter tabs to be actually sewn up. So because I never use garter tabs anyways, I feel that it would be more safe from not poking out from underneath the corset. And the modesty panels in both corsets are similar as well. So this particular modesty panel is quite wide. It's 7.5 inches wide. So I'd say it's about 5 inches of usable space, which is more than enough for me. It's made from a single reinforced layer of this matching satin to match the rest of the corset. And when I feel this, I feel the slight texture of the twill underneath. Whereas with the other corset, I believe that it's not twill on the inside. It's probably the same sort of polyester type fabric on the inside. It just it has a slightly different texture and a very slightly different thickness inside. And both corsets have the modesty panel attached using this line of stitching here, but you can pick out that line of stitching to remove the modesty panel if you don't like panels. And also this corset has a matching modesty placket unstiffened underneath the knob side of the busk. This one also has the same thing. It matches the rest of the fashion fabric unstiffened underneath the knob side of the busk. The busk used in this corset is about 12.5 inches long with 6 pins. They are all equidistantly placed, and it is a 1/2 inch wide on each side, so your standard flexible busk. It is reinforced with another flat steel on either side. This corset has a total of 24 bones, 12 on each side. Like I had mentioned earlier, it's mostly double boned on the seams, so you can see here 2, 4, 6, 8, and then there are another 2 here sandwiching the grommets, which makes 10. This one single bone over the curve of the bust is the one exception to the double boned on the seams. And then the 12th one here is that last flat steel bone supporting the busk here. I talked with the owner of Versatile Corsets and Corset Connection, and she said that they don't use any spiral steels in the corsets. It's actually all flat steel bones. However, these ones on the sides are more flexible than some other flat steel bones, so it's not going to interfere too much with the silhouette of these corsets, and it's not going to be so stiff that say the ends poke you in the hips and whatnot. Is a close-up of the grommets, and I have absolutely zero complaints about them. They are, I believe, 00 size with a medium to large flange around them. None of them look crushed, none of them catch on the laces. There are 18 of them on each side for a total of 36. And here you can also see the underside. They are set very securely, very few splits in them, and those very few that are split don't catch on the laces at all, so I have no qualms about them. The laces are their typical 1 inch wide rounded nylon cord, very strong, virtually impossible to break. They can be a little bit slippery though, so you need to learn how to tie a proper bow if you want your corset to stay tightened and stay in place. And I just wanted to show you quickly that they use the same grommets in the older style, and they have the same cord, so it hasn't changed for years. The price for the Scarlett Overbust corset on the Corset Connection website and also Versatile Corsets, it's the same owner, so it's the same price. It starts at $378. And now for the bust test. would say that this corset gets a 4 out of 4 on the bust test because I felt very safe when I was raising my arms, because this is definitely high enough, like I had mentioned before, it's 16 inches. So I feel that it covers everything appropriately. I also feel that when I was, say, jumping, then the pressure that is like keeping my bust flat here is keeping everything in place and preventing body parts from sliding or from the risk of popping out. So I feel quite safe in this corset. So I hope you enjoyed this review of the Scarlett Overbust corset made by Corset Connection, also Versatile Corsets. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please remember to click that like button and help support the channel. And if you have any comments or questions about this corset in particular, or Corset Connection or Versatile Corsets in general, please feel free to leave them down below and I'd be happy to answer all your questions. So thank you so much. I will see you all in the next video. Bye!